across the Southeast are moving forward with bans on cell phones in schools. Good evening, I'm Latricia Thomas.
And I'm Josh Rowe. Tennessee previously passed such a ban at the end of March. It requires school boards to prohibit schools from using cell phones or similar devices during instructional time, except in certain circumstances.
Today, a similar bill passed the House in Alabama. That bill bans the use of wireless communication devices like cell phones and tablets in schools.
Alabama students are allowed to have those devices on school property, but they must be kept in a locker or backpack and be turned off. Now, the governor of Georgia is considering a similar proposal after it was approved in the General Assembly.
News Channel 9's Mary Beth Mangrum has more on what effect a ban like that would have on schools in our area. Mary Beth.
Latricia, Josh, for some schools in our area, not much would change if Governor Brian Kemp signs this bill into law. But it would require those districts to form their own policies to comply, including policy on communication for those students in the event of an emergency.
The average student receives over 237 notifications a day and some as many as 4,500.
Georgia lawmakers showed overwhelming support for a bill that would ban elementary and middle school students from accessing their phones during school hours.
The yeas are 54 and the nays are 2.
Now sending it to Governor Brian Kemp's desk.
The middle schools are not allowed to have their phones out at all. Even at the high schools, you're allowed to use them at lunch or before and after school. But you're not allowed to use it during class time without teacher permission.
Catoosa County Schools Superintendent Chance Nick says it wouldn't change much for their students, but for some, it raises concerns on safety.
What if that phone could save lives in an active shooter situation? These are true concerns as a parent that all of us will typically think about.
The policies do provide for students to have access in an emergency.
This bill says districts are responsible for creating their own policy, which has to include how to handle emergency contact with parents and what consequences students breaking that rule face.
Is that extremely difficult to police? You better believe it, because kids they love those phones.
Students who need access to certain devices because of medical or learning needs will have exceptions.
The carve-out is already in there for students who need access to their device for a medical reason.
In Tennessee, Governor Bill Lee signed off on a similar bill in late March.
I do think we're going to start seeing it in a lot of states because it is a problem.
We reached out to Governor Brian Kemp's office about how he might proceed, and a spokesperson tells us our office has 40 days following the last day of the legislative session to conduct a thorough review of that legislation that received final passage by the Georgia General Assembly. That spokesperson also says an announcement will be made after that review process is completed. Latricia?
Mary Beth, thank you. Walker County Schools released a statement of support of the bill, saying they will implement the policy thoughtfully and that they look forward to the impacts.